I probably don't turn enough of this wood. Does anybody know what it is? Might be able to tell here when this end comes around. I have quite a bit of it. It's kind of like I'm saving it, you know. I want it to last my lifetime. I don't know how long that'll be, but I don't want to run out of it. It's olive wood. Dan brought this up to me, oh gosh, 4 years ago maybe. I've turned quite a bit of it. Well, not quite a bit, I don't know, 5 or 6 pieces. I have a playlist for my olive wood pieces. I'll put a link right up there in your upper right hand corner. It's difficult to turn. It's very difficult to turn. It's a very hard wood. Really gives you a workout, but it's so, so beautiful. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or as we like to say here at Shady Acres Wood Shop, howdy. Let's take a closer look at it. The piece currently is about 8 inches long, about 7 inches in diameter. I'm going to cut it in half. So I'm going to take this over to the bandsaw, cut it in half right through here, drill a flat spot for my chuck jaws to set against. In the center of that, I'm going to drill a hole for my woodworm screw. We're going to get it mounted up and get to turning. This olive wood from Dan in Las Vegas. I have the piece mounted on the woodworm screw. We're going to be turning at 750 RPM, 5/8 inch bowl gouge, mask, and face shield on. I'm starting from the top side and coming down, trying to keep the bark on. I did glue it right here. The rest of it seems pretty tight, except this is not, but that's okay. I planned on turning that away anyway. Piece came off. Yeah, that whole bottom part. But that's okay. I expected that. Just trying to get rid of the flat spots on the ends, and then we'll come down here to the bottom. Okay, we're fully round on the ends at least. We'll come down, flatten off the bottom, and I don't know if we're going with a tenon or a recess. We'll figure it out. Okay, I'm going to flatten off the bottom and lay out for a tenon. I wanted to use a recess, but there's a crack going through here, and I don't want to spread into that recess, so I'm going to clamp down on it instead, and that'll keep that crack from spreading. And I'm able to pick the speed up to 1200 RPM. And I forgot to tell you, I glued the bark back into this area here. We're probably going to turn some of it away, but I figured, you know, put it back on there and turn away what we need to turn away, and then there'll still be some left. And marking out for the recess, or tenon, duh. Now I'm going to use this diamond point tool to square up the sides of the tenon. And that's good. Now we can come back over here to the side and start cleaning up our profile and seeing if we like what we have. Well, see, I thought we were going to be taking off more than that, but hardly any. So I'm glad I put that back in there. Okay, I'm going to do a little shear scraping. Okay, I'm glad that didn't come back off. Time for sanding. I'm sanding with my 2-inch disc starting at 80 grit and working up through 400. I have the lathe spinning in reverse for that at 350 and I'll alternate forward and reverse. I'm also using my Sandoflex starting at 120 grit and working up through 180 grit. 120 grit and then 180 grit, and that's where I'll stop on the bark. So I'll do that. I'll bring you back here in a bit and we'll put some probably sanding sealer on there. See you in a bit. Well, this is going to be quite beautiful, I think. It took a lot of sanding because of the handwork I had to do. It was easy to sand it with the 2-inch disc, but that left a lot of sharp little edges here and there and everywhere. It just took a long time. I'll get my brush out here in a minute. This is a shellac-based sanding sealer I'm applying. And then I'll put shellac over this. And I'm constantly asked if I'll show the shellac part. And I used to. It looks absolutely zero difference. None. There's no difference at all. I apply it exactly the same way. It comes out of a can ready to use exactly like this does. I don't do anything to either one of them. There's just no point in showing it because it looks like this. You always want to come behind the brush with your rag to wipe up any runs or brush marks you have. That bark just really brings out the color of the bowl. Okay, so like I said, I'll be doing this, 2 coats of this, 2 coats of shellac, applied exactly the same way, no difference. And I'll bring it back when it's time to start working on the inside. See you in a bit. I got a great finish on the outside. I turned the piece around and have the tenon mounted up in the chuck. I have this hole here that coincides with a bark inclusion on the outside, and this hole goes in there about that far. A long ways. So I would just as soon not have a hole coming out on the outside, so I'm going to have to be really careful. I don't want to have really thick walls, but I also don't want to have a hole in the side of the bowl either. So we'll just see how that goes. We're going to be turning at 1200 RPM, 5/8 inch bowl gouge, mask and face shield on. Well, let's see what we got. What we got is a dull chisel, and it was freshly sharpened just 2 minutes ago. I'll be right back. Yeah, that piece right there, I can feel it wiggling on the outside in that hole I told you about. So we don't want to lose that piece. I should probably glue it in right now, but I think it's okay if I don't come out here any further. But I am going to remove some of this so that I get my tool rest in there closer. Boy, that's just thicker than I wanted, dang it. I'm going to go ahead and glue that in because there is room to come out further without touching it, but I don't want to do that while it's loose. So I'm going to put some CA in there, let it set up a bit, and I'll be back. Okay, I have that glued in place. It looks like I can come over here about 1/4 of an inch before I hit it. And even if I hit it and remove some of it, that's okay by me, as long as I don't jar it loose and have to re-glue it. And I sure hope it doesn't go flying out of there. Otherwise, we're just going to have a hole in the bottom, that's all. Or bottom side down there in that corner. So I'm going to come clear back up here to the top and take more off, thin this down. It's just too thick. And I'm fully sharpened up, 1300 RPM, mask and face shield on. Yeah, that looks much better. Still no wiggle. I'm just going to check how deep we are here. We're about 3/4 of an inch right now. Not that much more to go. I'm going to shear scrape a little bit along this top edge. It's kind of funny because right below this piece that was wobbling is another similar piece in there coming this way. So it's like two branches met up. Yep, that's as far as we better go. Well, that'll just be an interesting feature because you can see two branches meeting up. I'm not sure if it's coming through on there, but you'll see it later. All right, time for sanding. I'm starting at 80 grit, working up through 400. I have the lathe spinning forward and reverse. I'm going to bring you back here in a bit when it's time to take the tenon off. I'm going to go ahead and put the finish on the inside. You saw me put it on the outside. So we'll see you back here in just a bit. I've mounted a block of wood up in my chuck. I'm going to put a non-slip cloth over that and bring up the bowl. Oh, but before I do, I want to answer a viewer's question. I always use my computer for YouTube. I just don't use my phone much at all. But the other night I was somewhere waiting on food, I guess I was, and so I pulled my phone out and I was just taking a look at some of the comments. And one of the comments was, well, he provided a link to a video and he wanted to know what I thought about the way the guy removed the tenon in that video. And what the gentleman was using was something similar to this. This is a coal jaw set. These are big jaws that have these little rubber bumpers that you can put in different places to hold a piece of wood up here. This turns into like a flat surface once it's all put together on the chuck. He wasn't using coal jaws. There's another thing that's similar that I can't remember the name of right now. But anyway, he asked what I thought of using that method to remove the tenon. Well, like I said, I use my computer. I don't use my phone most of the time. So I figured, okay, I'll answer this question tomorrow morning when I'm at my computer. When I'm at my computer, I look for his question. It's not there. And it may be because there was a link in there and maybe YouTube deleted it. I'm not sure. I just don't know why it wasn't there, but it wasn't there. And so I wanted to answer his question. The reason I don't use that kind of thing is because I turn this kind of thing. Now, how are you going to hold this against a flat surface with little rubber bumpers that don't come up to here? How are you going to hold that on a flat surface? You can't. What if the edge isn't even across here? And it's not. This is higher than this is. So it's going to sit cockeyed like that. Well, then you can't remove this. You just can't do it. What if you're turning something like this, which is my preference, this sort of thing, and you get done and you got a bowl in the center here. Now how are you going to hold that? You can't hold that. To me, that coal jaw set that I bought was just a waste of money. I think I used it once when I first got it, and then I discovered this method, and this just works. So I don't, if you're turning nice round flat top bowls, terrific. Then get yourself some coal jaws or the gizmo the other guy was using. But for what I like to turn, they're just not practical. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to put a non-slip cloth over this, bring up the bowl, bring up the tailstock. I still have my center hole there for reference, so I can drive my live center into that. Bring up my tool rest. We'll spin the piece up and see if it's running true. Right on the money, quick and easy. I'll turn the speed up to about 600 RPM. Going to grab a 3/8 inch bowl gouge and commence to removing that tenon. And I'm going to put my tool shank across there and see if I have clearance, a gap between this and my tool shank. And I do, good clearance. Now the piece is pretty small, so I'm going to adjust my tool rest a little bit closer. And I'm going to switch to a 3/8 inch swept back bowl gouge so that I can get in there closer and tighter. And I'm going to turn the speed down to about 400 RPM and just keep working it away. And now that's really small, so I'm going to turn the speed down to about 200 RPM. And I'm going to apply the bevel of the gouge against the bottom of the bowl. Right hand on the gouge, left hand on the switch. And when the little nub stops turning, we'll know we're through. And it wouldn't have cost us anything for a set of coal jaws or whatever you might like. Easy peasy. Now I'll just take this over here to the workbench, sand that up, sign it, get it finished, and I'll be right back. Be sure you stick around at the end of the video so you can see the before and after shots of this piece. If you'd share the video, I'd really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Well, here it is. One olive live edge bowl in the books, and it's flawless. It's just, look at that grain. It's just beautiful. It's just beautiful. The bark is nice, not too much of it, maybe just the right amount, I hope. Hope you think so. And there's the bottom all finished up, just as beautiful on the bottom. Oh, and that really cool feature. I've never seen anything quite like that. I hope that's making sense to you. I hope you can see it clearly. So you got one branch right here coming up the side, and then down there in the bottom of that hole is another branch that comes right up to it and then stops. You see that? That is so cool. That is so cool. Now some people might fill that in with resin or something, but then you can't stick your finger in there and feel that other one. I've never run across that I can recall. I'm sure I haven't. I think I'd remember that. That is just really cool. And then on the outside you can see just the one coming up. Really cool, really unusual. And of course that's my favorite part right there. Well, that's my favorite part, but on the outside that's my favorite part. So that'll be the front. This was kind of a bit of work to do because I had to sharpen so often. It's just really hard wood, but at the same time it was fun to do. I hope it was fun to watch. Thank you, Dan in Las Vegas, for bringing this along for all to enjoy. If you like this video, thumbs up please. I'd sure appreciate it. If you're a subscriber, thank you very kindly. I truly appreciate that. If you're not a subscriber, would like to become one, I put out regular videos about one a week, and I'd like to keep in touch. An easy way to subscribe is just click my picture you see there near the end of the video. Your comments are always welcome, and I love reading them. So for now, this is Phil, Shady Acres Woodshop, signing off.